The truth is that some people are more successful than other people in different dimensions of living. And that's evident. Certain people are very successful in business, some are very successful in their personal lives, some are very successful in making relationships work, some are very successful in being happy. They're quite different criteria. That's where that ladder of criteria, the hierarchy of criteria, is so important when that comes into play. When we're talking about what is more important, what motivates somebody to do something above and beyond something else. Why would somebody be motivated to become a master of relationships? Another person be motivated to become a master of business, a third person motivated to become a master, say, of the political world, another motivated to become a master of a parallel kind of consciousness, say, in the shamanic world. But one thing that does connect all these different approaches to their hierarchies of criteria is motivation. And motivation is very connected to dopamine and parts of the brain which drive motivation and drive curiosity. It appears to me that what's underneath a lot of these different motivational structures is intense curiosity. If you said, what is this, if we can find a useful generalization, what makes it tick? I think what I've noticed is, and this is probably an incomplete mapping, but I think it's a generally very, very core point to what brings about exceptional performance. And we talk a lot about high performance states and getting into the zone and all this kind of thing. I think that's a bit misguided, because I think those states, those high performance states, those flow states, or those ways of organizing oneself to get a maximal output from every possible part of one's being, have to derive from something deeper. And I do believe that's why you get into a lot of kind of unsuccessful trials and unsuccessful endpoints when one simply goes out and fires up with a lot of pumping and getting with the program and getting psyched and all that, damn it, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make this thing happen kind of attitude. Not always works, and other times it really does work. Well, what's the difference? And I think if you look deeply enough, you'll find that the true difference, the true distinguishing feature that is absolutely required before you can go out and pump it up and get all into it, and this often very hard to grapple with concept of passion and so on and so forth, is there has to be curiosity. And it's that just that nagging, intense curiosity that a little child has, that, why is the sky blue? Why do dogs have 4 legs? Why do wheels roll? And that just relentless curiosity about things that are so taken for granted by most minds, most people. So there's a very interesting thing to learn there, that the young child who's just entering that maximal flowering, that efflorescence of intense learning capacity, is going to be not taking things for granted. So the first pitfall you're going to find in the highly, highly successful in whatever domain, wherever it goes, what is one of the core things? What is the distinction that divides the ones that do and the ones that don't, the ones that can, the ones that can't, the ones that talk, the ones that walk? The people you can visually, auditorily, sensorially, obviously see succeeding beyond all expectations, as opposed to those that don't. I think the core distinction, so please open up your little programmability gates here. The core distinction is the degree to which that person does or does not take one's background matrix for granted, and all the aspects of reality that you say make up that background frame of reality, do they take it for granted or do they not take it for granted? Okay, are you following me here? Important question. What are you taking for granted? What do you just assume? How many questions are you asking about all the things you take for granted and everyone else takes for granted? That's where the break point is. That's where the distinction is. And right after that, not taking for granted is the question why. Now, why is the question why somewhat taboo in NLP? I don't know. I don't understand that. And I would like to know why people are so adverse to asking why. Because the thing you always hear in little kids is why? They really want to know. Why do wheels roll? Why do dogs have 4 legs? Why is the sky blue? Why is there thunder? Why do leaves grow up and roots grow down? They'll just drive you absolutely to the limit of your ability to explain the world. And one of the interesting things, I think crucially interesting things about being around little kids is you find out how little you really know when a little kid is constantly interrogating you about reality. That you come to sort of either a circular explanation or you just sort of reach the end of what you were schooled in teaching, and the kid keeps on wanting to go past that. And I think it's that urge, those people who maintain that child desire to get the explanation beyond the limit of the known or the accepted and push past that to a degree to get to a deeper kind of why. Why? They're constantly asking why. So it's not just that they're kind of milling around looking for lightning to strike. These are people who have found a way to kind of defamiliarize the world and stop seeing it as a taken for granted given, and instead return and regress in a very constructive way to an intense why frame, but the why frame of, say, a 2 to 4 to 5-year-old kid that just has to know, and these are kids that just have to know, they have to know what makes a relationship better. They have to know what is beyond the current model of, say, economics or how computers work, or they have to know what is beyond NLP as we understand it. And those that don't, those that are just sort of contentedly embedded in their matrix, have really lost touch with that inner child why generating machine, that sort of laser of questions that just keeps coming. Why? So there, I believe you will find why, and there are probably a lot of other whys. Why merely motion equal emotion, jumping up and down, yes, getting all that stuff going isn't going to last. It's not even going to last to the end of the exercise unless it can be backed up with this just incredible need to know, what if you did something else? What goes beyond the standard explanation? What more is possible? What haven't we considered? What box are we in? How did we get into that box? Who put us into this box? And why are these the accepted versions of reality? And what else could there possibly be? So there is weekend lesson number 1, and I think you should take that very, very seriously. If you're going to make any real progress or growth, whether through NLP or anything else, you've got to be able to recapture that very young, incessant, what else is possible, why, how did reality get made, who made it, who's God's father, who's God's mother, who's the great-grandfather of God, these things that only kids will ask. That's the kind of stuff we have to be constantly on an unconscious level internally asking if there's going to be any forward motion in our lives. Any.